I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you.
Actually, when we, you were actually one of the first people that I wrote down on my list of people that I would like to have on.
Sweet.
And I don't know your story really at all, which is why I'm really excited for this but I know there was, I don't even know what to call it, but there was quite a thing that went on.
Had JJsToGo.
Yeah. So for people who don't know who you are,
Yeah.
you just what's your name? What's your
Well, I'm Jessica Lambert.
Yeah.
Formerly Jessica Britton.
Yeah.
Until like 5 months ago.
Yeah. Congratulations.
So thank
I know
you.
I've said
Thank
that,
you.
but yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
How's that? I mean,
It's literally the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if everybody else can say that, but I'll tell you, I'm sure you know, when you have a Christ-centered marriage, like there is nothing more fruitful. Like there's literally nothing. So,
yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. I think it's good for people to hear that because there's still a lot of nonsense out there about, I was just watching some studies, actually came across several of them this week that just, and it's from like sources that have historically not promoted this view, but there's a lot of studies coming out about people who are married and have kids are just way happier than people who don't have those things. And it's not debatable at this point. And, there's going to be outliers and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not
people who have like horrible experiences in marriage.
For sure.
So that probably skews the view a little bit. But I would say if you are in like a healthy relationship, marriage, like for sure, it's the best thing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So you've recently been married. And you had JJsToGo down in downtown Centralia, which is where kind of that story starts.
Yeah, actually. It's funny too because every time that people have asked me questions about this or even customers have been like, oh, I sent your information to Fox News, or even Charlie Kirk before he passed, like all these things, like Allie Beth Stuckey, like we sent it to all these outlets. And I literally would tell my family, like, I'm not going to talk about this like publicly anymore until there's a podcast, because I feel like nobody gets like a full story. Like there's cut and edits, and then like you try to do it yourself on social media and then nobody hears it correctly and they're like, okay, this girl's crazy, but I'm not. So, but yeah.
Well, we're about to find out.
I guess. Hey,
no,
tell me.
I mean, that's what I like about this format. And it's just, the old way of doing news, it's not structured in a way where you can, I don't even know that it's necessarily their fault. I don't know how you have form
for sure
paper articles. I mean, those are called hooks, so I think it's a difficult thing when you have these, and I feel like our political life has gotten so intertwined with our social life and all the other areas. It's just become so man, I don't even know, but it's
involved in everything.
Yeah.
It controls if you like this person or not. It shouldn't, but unfortunately it does for a lot of people. Like whether you like somebody, whether you're going to hang out with them, whether sometimes you even want to be in the same room with them, to be honest. Like I've experienced it. So we would be lying if we said that it didn't affect all of that, which is unfortunate because it shouldn't. So
So let me, before we get into the meat of it,
I can tell you.
Take me back to like where you're from, like how that all came about, how you started, and just go ahead.
Well, I think it all ties in a little bit to my testimony. So, one day that'll be there too. But so I grew up, born and raised in Palm Springs, California. I lived there until I moved here when I was 26 or 25 or 26. And spent my whole life there. Grew up in, I would say, what you would call is like the more rougher area of that county. Like I was in Cathedral City, California, specifically. And I had 3 brothers at the time. That desert, people say, claimed, like if you get out, like you are so lucky. Like, you are either stuck there for your whole life and on drugs and miserable, or the desert eats you and you die there, or the few that escape are lucky. Yeah. And I never had that point of view until I got older. But anyways, I was born and raised Christian. My parents kept me in church, Sunday school from a very young age. I went to private school through 6th grade. And really, when I hit middle school and I was allowed to go to public school, I begged for it because the private school was so small. I felt like I didn't have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And when I was finally allowed to go to middle school, that's really like when everything changed for me. Like, I had never even heard secular music. I had never even heard, when I heard a little kid say the F word, I was like, what is happening? Like, this is like illegal. Like, I had no idea what was going on, you know? And so very, very, praise God. Thank my parents. Like, they did a good job, like, keeping us sheltered, some would say. But man, it laid the foundation, like, for my faith, for my life, how I raised my kids, even in my relationship with my husband now. Like, they laid the groundwork. They did the hard work that none of us wanted to put up with. We all wanted to go against what they had to say and tell us to do. But anyways, long story short, I when I was 14, I met my daughter's father, and we quickly became boyfriend and girlfriend. And for the first time ever, I was subject to a very worldly view, very worldly relationship. Definitely got involved in drugs and gangs and drinking, and just a way different lifestyle than is out here, honestly. So we went through a lot, like, as a couple. My family was not supportive at first, but they came to love him, and praise God, I have a beautiful daughter. And now I know why, because that girl saved my life on many occasions. But unfortunately, we both lost our oldest brothers within 28 days of each other, 12 years ago, actually. Just hit the 12 mark a couple days ago. So within a couple days of each other, they both of them were really good friends. They lost their lives at the same time. So we grew through that, too. We both went through that at the same time. Then my daughter's father passed away 5 years ago. Just a terrible off-roading accident out where we live. My daughter was 18 months. And man, when you're grieving, like, the loss of a spouse, like, we were not married. There's, like, terms that people would say, like, you're married in the streets, like, you've just been together so long. But yeah, when you're grieving, like, you do things that you don't know you're capable of. Like, you hurt a lot of people, you hurt yourself, and I did things that I'm not proud of. But by the grace of God, he kept me alive, because I really don't know how I made it through that.
Yeah.
That was when, honestly, the spiritual realm became very real to me, like, through his passing and everything. I think I was Christian my whole life. Like, Christian is a very fluid word now. Like, Mormons say they're Christian. Jehovah's Witnesses say they're Christian. Like, all these people are Christian, but what is Christian? Like, you are a Christ follower. You are a believer in Jesus Christ, and you are obedient to his word. And now I know that. I didn't back then, you know. So I was a Christian my whole life, but I wasn't aware of, like, the demonic realm and even, like, the heavenly realm. Like, it was just like, I go to church on Sunday, read my Bible, like, here and there, like, definitely at that time not practicing that. But
Yes.
And then I went through losing, so his other brother got gunned down. I would say it was 6 months, maybe almost a year after he passed away, 6 to 9 months, something like that. He got gunned down in front of his dad's house. And I mean, this is a family that, like, I'm very close with. So now all 3 brothers on that side have passed away. So, like, the trauma surrounding, like, how much death, like, you could take. I mean, praise God, they have an amazing mom and an amazing family who love Jesus. And so we've made it through. But long story short, I moved here after that. And my family saved me. The Lord literally plucked me out of that town. Like, I moved here within 48 hours of calling my family and saying, get me to Washington. Like, I can't do this. Like, so
they were here already.
Yeah. So my oldest brother now, since the oldest had passed away, the second oldest, he was living here with his wife and their 2 kids. And my parents had just sold their house in Palm Springs, like our family home that we were in for 21 years or something. They had sold it, and their plan was to travel the United States. They bought a big RV, and this was their first stop. And when they stopped here, I called, like, I'm ready. Like, get me out. They had been waiting for me to call them and tell them that. I was in a really dark place. And yeah, the Lord literally took me out of there, moved me here within 48 hours. And then the real grieving process started. So like that whole, I don't remember how long it was. It's so blurry, but that whole time until I moved here, I thought I was grieving. And I wasn't. I was like putting a Band-Aid on like a huge cut open wound. And I needed the Lord. Like, I knew that I did. And it was almost like there's no way he knows what I'm going through or how I'm feeling at the time. That's how I felt, you know? And so when I moved here, I got a little apartment over in Centralia for me and my daughter. And I went into like a 4-month dark depression, just crying every single day, drinking every single day, just didn't know what to do. And I let myself, honestly, I don't really know how I would have moved on faster. Like, I needed that time. Obviously, I shouldn't have been drinking, but I needed that time to rest, you know, to let it out. So that's what I did. And then JJ's came from all of that. I can get into that too, but that's a little short story of my testimony and kind of a little bit of what I've been through. So
yeah. No, I had not heard any of that before. I mean, there's a lot there that we could probably expand on, but you know, we maybe save that for another thing if you want, unless there's anything you'd like to go into greater detail.
Leads right into what we're going to talk about. So
so how did so that all happens. You end up in, you know, Centralia. You probably never even heard of this place before you.
I was shocked that these places don't have AC. I'm like, is that legal? Like, you can build something without AC, but
no, I mean, we just had fans growing up. And yeah, I remember when I moved to New York, I thought those like AC units that people put in their windows, like I thought that was like an old-timey thing that people didn't do anymore because I'd never seen one around here growing up. So I went there, I was like, people still use these things?
That's
like, I had no concept of, and I didn't know people actually played lacrosse. I thought that was something that people did, like,
I've never seen lacrosse, so.
Yeah, well, we have one now, actually. My cousin's husband and some people have started a league around here. But yeah, I mean, everybody in Los Angeles.
It's a completely different lifestyle.
Crazy,
and we're not that far from Palm Springs. Like, we're on the West Coast, you know, but it is a different lifestyle.
Yeah. No, it's funny when you grow up in a place. I mean, it's so good for people to get out.
Yeah.
You know, just, at least for a little bit. Like, even if you love where you live and you want to live there, like, get out, go live someplace, or, you know, be someplace for a couple weeks at least. It gives you so much perspective. Like, it's so good to be around people that, you know,
you
even if they're not so different from you. But it's really good for people. And just on your, you know, to piggyback on this idea of how combative everybody's become, you know, it's good for people to meet other people who grew up in a different place and have different sensibilities and all these things, and to realize they're all pretty normal for the most part. We all want most of the same things. And you know, people, just because people have different ideas doesn't mean that those ideas are locked in forever. I mean, most at least hopefully, your ideas are good enough to be defensible. And if they're not, they should just go away,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's something that I've always been really happy about. I grew up in a Christian house. Same. My parents got divorced when I was 2, and then got remarried to people in Christian families of like all things. And so, my stepdad's his dad was a church planter, and so I end up in that family.
Yeah,
that's a family that was local to me.
Okay.
And so I got to grow up around that. And man, it's crazy to think about how different my life would be if my parents would have stayed married.
Yeah.
Because there's all kinds of stuff going on there, and it's weird how God will take things that aren't good and still work them around.
Oh yeah.
But
that's what he does.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, if there's like kind of a, that's kind of the crux of my testimony would be that, it's just like I know myself well enough that had that all stayed the way that it was, like I don't even know what kind of a person I would be right now.
I say the same thing.
And I'm like so thankful, not that I was, always so great, obviously, and not that I'm so great now, but it's just, man, I would be so much worse,
Well, I think what people miss too is like, I had a young woman ask me last week, what if I'm not one of the chosen? And I'm like, that's not an option. We're all chosen.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to listen and turn around, to repent and turn. And that's how you get to be in a position where you're like, wow, look at the shambles my life was in and where it could have gone and where it is now. I mean, if I wouldn't have had my daughter, guaranteed I would have committed suicide. Like either when I got here, but probably before back home if I didn't have a daughter. Like the Lord knew essentially before we were born, but that I would need that this little light that he gave me would literally save my life. So
I think that's something that people who are like critical of, Christianity in particular, and it's, some of this is definitely the fault of, Christians, how they can portray themselves sometimes. But it's like this idea that, Christians are like always good and have always been good, and they're just kind of perfected and, everything they're doing. And it's like, that is not how people who are authentic Christians think of themselves. Like that's
right.
The reason, and some people are preachy and legalistic and all that stuff. And there's a difference between, being arrogant about those things and talking down to people in that context and then also just saying things that are true or good. But yeah, I think the reason that people are so excited to share about this is because they know what they would have been otherwise or what they have been in the past.
Yeah.
And they're excited about where they're at now and where they're
oh my gosh,
headed.
Yeah, because
it's like you would want to tell people just based on that, like, if I knew where there was more gold than I could deal with, I would tell other people about it,
Now that it's available to everybody.
Right.
Like, this is not just a you and me, and we're special. We're not anything special.
No,
like, the Lord loves all of us the same.
Yeah.
And so that type of testimony and repentant heart is available to everyone.
Yeah.
That's why you're like, I have to tell, like, I got to tell somebody,
Yeah. Especially if, I mean, I think I heard some guy say this and it really stuck with me. But he was saying that, the best thing that people can run across is an authentic Christian family. Like it's the most impactful thing you can do.
Yeah.
Like going out on a street corner and yelling at people or whatever things people do. And I don't know if that stuff's good or bad or indifferent. Like I don't do it. I can't imagine myself doing it. But I'm.
It's not our job to condemn.
Yeah, like I don't know, but obviously most people don't enjoy that. I think that's fair to say. And but I think we talked about this the other day, but just as far as leadership, like everybody's leading somebody. Like we're all influencing each other whether we want to or not.
For sure.
And so if people notice something good in me, I assure you it has nothing to do with me. Like that's something that came from just God developing me through all the different means. And I think the idea that this kind of idea that Christians just come from these like really perfect families and just never do anything wrong, like I don't think that's true at all.
No.
Because I don't know anybody. I really don't know very many, and that's a great story if you can manage it. Like that's a great testimony also.
Kids have that story.
Right.
I know that I didn't. Like I say I came from a Christian family, but trust me, like we went through. Christians are normal people. Like they do normal things sometimes too. And so it was not by any means perfect.
And I do think that's like there's a difference there of like, some people will treat Christianity and churches like a social club, which is not what it's for. That's not what it's about.
Yeah.
And I get that. Like people like to belong to stuff and they want to be thought of a certain way, but it really, the power of it is when you show up there, to be changed.
Yeah.
And to help support everybody else who's there in their endeavor to be changed or their willingness to be changed.
Right. The real work is done in your private time with the Lord.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like church is just to get together and to know the people who are doing the same thing you're doing or trying to do some of the same stuff you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And it's a very small part of what your life is throughout. But so you're in Centralia.
Yeah.
And you kind of go through this period. I mean, I had something like that where it wasn't to the same degree, but I had a time where my grandfather had passed away and I didn't really mourn it until like several years later. And then like one day it just kind of like I saw my grandma at my wedding and it just like hit me out of nowhere. And I'm not a very emotional person. Like I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've cried. Like I'm just not, that's not how I'm wired. Yeah. But man, I like sobbed like just out of nowhere. It was weird. So you kind of have this delayed, where it just kind of washes over you for this time. And so now you kind of have gone through this healing thing.
Kind of like out of the depression. It was like I actually started watching JAlves on YouTube. Like, so Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills.
Okay.
I had started watching him back in the desert. I had watched the series Behind the Mask. It's a 4-part series. And it was like literally in the transition time of deciding, take me to Washington. Like, I want to say it was within those 2 days that I waited for me to get here and fully relax. Like, I digested this 4-part series where the Lord showed up. I mean, this teaching was very anointed. And then I still fell into depression. So when I was coming out of it, and it was like 4 months by the time I had been here, I started watching JAlves again. And have you ever watched him?
I've heard of him. It's not somebody I've watched.
It's wise. He's so wise. He's like a theological pastor. So not only is he like teaching verse by verse from the word, he is connecting it with like historical documents, things that have happened in history. Like it proves the existence of God, like, and Jesus. He proves it in every single sermon. So I started watching him, and then it started imprinting on my heart, like to start reading my word again, reading the Bible. And so I started doing that. And then I had a friend, his name was Dave. He actually passed away of cancer recently, but it was during his diagnosis that I learned from JAlves the importance of praying on your knees. So then I started having a prayer life, and I would pray like for Dave. Like I would try to intercede on his behalf. And then starting just praying, trying to pray for him, it turned into praying like consistently. I wouldn't say constantly, but consistently.
Yeah.
And one night I was sleeping, and it was 3:30 in the morning. The Lord woke me up out of a dead sleep. I don't know if like I was still dreaming. I don't know if this was just a revelation, but I had this idea for a meal prep business. And I knew that I wanted to call it JJsToGo. I knew what the logo would look like. And I sat up and I made the logo on clip art on my laptop, like all in the middle of the night, like all in one night. But what had led up to, like, it was my prayer life and my word being consistent. And then my sister, my oldest sister, she had just started becoming a real estate agent. And she had asked me if, like, I would always Snapchat her meals that I would make, me and my daughter, because I was home all day, every day.
Yeah.
And she would be like, hey, can I pay you $100 a month and you can make me lunch every day? And I was like, oh, yeah, easy. Like, you don't even have to pay me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm already cooking anyways, you know?
Yeah.
And so that those three things entangled, like, led to, like, he woke me up and I had this, like, revelation. I was like, okay, made the logo. I had no idea what I was going to do with it. Like, I didn't know how it would look. I knew that back in California, my daughter's father had eaten lunch every single day from a lady would pull up in her van and she'd fly the door open in front of the mechanic shop, and all the guys would come out and they'd get this meal. And sometimes it would be a burrito. Sometimes it would be like fettuccine Alfredo with steamed broccoli. Like, and that was how he ate every single day for lunch. So I knew I wanted to do that, but like on a elevated scale. Like, I wanted it to be really good, homemade recipes in a nice box, like a little more classy, whatever. So the first day that I started, I made, I want to say 8 salads. And I know you've eaten that. You ate at JJ's.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Our portions are enormous.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, the portions were so small. And it was like $6 for this salad. Okay. At that time, it wasn't anything official. Like, I didn't know that I needed licensing. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm in my little tiny apartment, like a galley kitchen, like the small, I have photos, like the smallest thing. And I kind of, what you would say, like cold called them, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word. I walked into different businesses over by Walmart and I asked if anybody wanted to buy a salad. And I'm starting a business. It's going to be called JJsToGo. I had made little Staples business cards. I'm like, follow us on Instagram. Like, that's the way to place the order, whatever. And from there, it trickled on. So I went from that to like making a menu every single week to needing my mom to come and work for me every single day. Like, there was no way I could do it by myself.
Yeah.
Once I got to a steady 30 meals per day, I moved into a bigger place with a bigger kitchen. I got a cottage license. And at the time, the cottage license laws were different than they are now. Now you can only do like canned goods or baked goods. And but I didn't know that they had changed. I got the cottage license and all of that. And then my sister-in-law and my brother that were still in California, the younger ones, they moved here because I needed help. I'm like, Devin, she's like phenomenal. Best cook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need help. Like, I need your recipes. I need your mind around food. Like, you got to come help me. They moved up here. And then we got to like 90 meals a day that we were doing when the health department called me and was like, your license does not authorize cooking produce and meat in your home. And I'm like, what? Like, I filed my taxes. I've been doing this for like 2.5 years out of my house. Like, what are you talking about? You know? So they shut us down pretty much overnight. Like, it was overnight. I mean,
yeah, that's definitely how that works.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I don't want to stop the momentum, but I think that's interesting. I mean, Washington is a really challenging place to run a business, and I've actually, I've actually looked at some of the food stuff. I mean, some of these guys that have food trucks, it's like the regulatory cost to operate their business is like $50,000 a year.
Yes.
Just for a food truck.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, how are you going to invite people to run businesses in that environment?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I do like the, you know, just doing stuff. You know, I mean, the amount of people that don't end up doing a thing that they could be good at just because they don't just start when they have no idea what they're doing.
Right.
I mean, clearly that's what we've been doing. Like we just started doing shows podcasts, and we just every time we try to make them better and we tweak, you know, lighting and audio, and we get equipment and all this stuff. It's like, you know, we learn as we're going. But yeah, I mean, you can't wait until you know.
Oh, for sure.
What you're doing to get started.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people shouldn't, you know, be properly licensed and stuff, but it's like things change so fast. It's hard for the people who are out there actually doing things to keep up with that stuff, because you also have to, you know, get clients.
Oh yeah, I kept going. I had no idea. I renewed my licenses,
and they didn't send you anything to notify you of any of that stuff.
I think they probably didn't realize, like, at the scale what we were growing so fast.
Yeah.
Like it was just proof of, like, when you're dedicating something to the Lord, like, He rewards. And that that is how I ran everything. Like, it was like Holy Spirit led. I was in deep with the Lord. Like, my faith had grown so much. He was just showing me so much through JJ's, like the provision that He was giving me for not only myself and my daughter, but now my mom and dad, and then now my little brother and his wife. And then we hire somebody who comes in and is working in our home with us. And so it's like all these people were getting full-time incomes from JJ's. And it was not only fun, but we were able to, like, operate in our gifts, like in ways that we are good at working, like with food. And, you know, so it was a blessing all around. Like, my faith was, like, through, like, praise God that He took me through that, because it was hard. It was very exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day, except Sundays, you know? So a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, but it was all Him. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I just love hearing about people attacking a thing and getting it done and you know, creating jobs and opportunities for people. That stuff's so awesome. I mean, one of the other things that we've talked about with this is, you know, we kind of hope to highlight how much talent is in this small area. I mean, I was born in Centralia Hospital, you know, like,
oh wow, okay.
I grew up actually on the property that we were able to acquire when we got back here.
Wow.
I grew up in a little house that when it was built, it didn't even have indoor plumbing or anything. You know, it's like, it was a small town.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a crazy amount of talent here, not just homegrown, but people who end up here and you know, one thing that I always told people about JJ's when I first started going there, because I don't want to lump everybody in this area into what I'm gonna say, but like I do not have like a sophisticated palate, and like but one thing I used to always say is, like, I would go in there and be like, I don't know, I don't eat any of this stuff, you know, like this is way too like good for me. And like
chicken tenders back there.
Yeah. And so, but one thing I would always say is, like, there's all these ingredients that, like, I don't eat because I don't like them. But I would order stuff and try it from there, and I would really like it. I'm always like, man, if people can make stuff that you don't like normally and it tastes really good, like, they really know what they're doing. I used to tell people that all the time, like, and I don't know if everybody's like, probably not. I'm, you know,
there's a lot of people that were like that. It was awesome too to watch them change their taste buds and be like, all right.
Dude, when I was growing up here, I was at a meeting last night, and we were talking afterwards, and we were talking about how when I was growing up, like one of the like restaurants that was around here was Roy's Chuck Wagon. Do you remember that place? It was like Golden Corral,
Okay.
except for probably not as clean.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah. And
Being in the restaurant business out here, I have seen some kitchens in this county, and I'm like, dude, like, yeah.
And we had a taco time, that was like the big, but we didn't have we had a Burger King, and so if you went out to eat, like this is what you had all growing up.
See, and for me growing up,
for prom, you would you'd drive up to Olympia to go to Olive Garden because that was like the fanciest place.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's we just didn't have a lot of population. Nobody was here, so like this is kind of the food we ate.
Yeah, that was part of what we loved about JJ's. Like, I knew it's going to be successful because nobody out here has this.
Yeah.
We're like, if you go to Palm Springs, if you want a big fresh salad, well, like, just go down Palm Canyon. There's like 7 places to choose from, probably more by now. Or honestly, like if you want Chinese food, there's like 8 with 5 stars that you could choose from for the night. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's so polar opposite from here. So
yeah, no, it's you know, we're in kind of a growth spurt around here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are uncomfortable with it. And
I can see that.
And I get it. But one of the things I was saying last night to some of the people is like, it's not all bad. Like we're getting, you know, people are moving here from other places and maybe they don't share all of our sensibilities and all that stuff, or maybe it's changing, you know, things around here. And I get that that's uncomfortable for people, but but you know, they come with food, you know, so they're starting restaurants. We got these like little boutique shops now, and like so there's some good stuff that comes from it, and you know we'll all figure it out. You know, everybody will figure out how to kind of work together and grow in a way that the area can still kind of retain its soul.
For sure, the historical,
but can add, you know, I mean, that's one of the things that I really hope that as we're kind of growing through this, that like our downtown areas can have a lot of amenities where we just really didn't have stuff, you know, before. It was like, you know, it's all antique stores and baseball card shops and stuff like that. But now there's like, there's a lot more going on. You know, we can still retain our farming community and maybe those things can add, you know, our restaurants can cook with locally sourced meats and vegetables and all that stuff, and they can kind of support each other. So I think there's ways into that, you know, where we can kind of keep the, you know, kind of the ethos of what it's been,
of why people love to be here. I know that's why.
Why they came here in the first place. But then bring some of the things that, you know, everybody likes. Like everybody likes to be able to go out to a nice meal if they can, you know,
for sure,
and not have to drive to Seattle, you know, to do it. So So you start, man, I didn't think Roy's Chuck Wagon would ever make it onto the show. I wonder how many people have ever even heard of that place. I think it closed when I was probably like 14, which was a long time ago. So you guys are rolling along and this thing's growing. You're working this out of your house.
Yeah.
And then so it gets to a point where you're going to have like a storefront business. Is that pretty much the next?
Kind of. Like the health department called one random, I think it was like a Tuesday, and was like, hey, you can't be cooking meat and produce out of your home. And we had no idea. Like we honestly had no idea.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it. Like, and I'm like, well, like, trust me, like I have like, it is sanitary in here. It's way more clean than any other restaurant you're going to go in. My food storage in the garage was like all like restaurant tier. Like everything is off the ground. Everything is put in cases. We have commercial refrigerators. Like it's a production that we were doing.
Yeah.
And so we stopped immediately. About a week later, we got, with some help from a local golf course out here, we paid like a monthly fee basically to rent their kitchen from them. And just to, in the meantime, to figure out what we were going to do. And we cooked out of there.
Okay.
In the meantime, we explored food trucks. Like Washington State is like, if not the hardest, one of the hardest to run a food truck in. The laws, the L&I laws, are a lot different than any other state, like down to the specifics of the amount of sinks you have to have in the thing. So anyways, but we were actually about to buy one. So my dad and I we had already gone to look at it. It was this big, beautiful 22-foot, brand new, like 60 grand. Like we were about to do it. And me and my dad have an appointment for 9 a.m. Like we're leaving town at 9 and we are driving up to North Bend to go pick up this food truck. And, at that time, I am like on my knees praying for this business. I am like calling in whatever the Lord has. I'm like, God, nothing is too big for you. Nothing at all. So I want if this food truck is not your will, take it away from me. If I can have a location, give me something with a lot of natural light. I want a lot of windows. I want a place that is big enough that we can have Bible study in. Like, I want this to be a place where I have a really big heart for the homeless community. And I was like, I want to be able to feed a lot of homeless. Like, just put me somewhere that is like that. And if that's not your will, then I don't want it either. But I feel like you've revealed this desire of my heart to me. And this is what if you can, this is what I want, So that morning, I'm literally getting ready to leave and go to my dad's to go to North Bend, okay? And I open my phone and I have a notification. Am I allowed to say names on here?
I mean, we'll find out.
Okay.
Say whatever you want.
So I get a notification from the previous owner the previous tenant of the building. Like, so, but I don't know her name. I've been there before, but I'm not familiar, and it says, hey, are you still looking for a kitchen location? Like, I think I might have something that you want to be interested in. Would you mind calling me? Like, I'd rather call than message. And I was like, yeah. So we get on the phone. Mind you, this is like 8:30 in the morning, okay? And she tells me her name and who she is, and she's like, do you know who I am? And I'm like, no. And it's the tenant that was occupying the building before us that's back in there now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't know. And she's like, well, I have a kitchen that I think you might be interested in. Kind of reiterate the same thing. She did not tell me what the location was or that it was even that location on Tower. And she asked if I would meet her there this evening. I'm like, yeah. I had so much peace. I was like, this is the Lord. Like, I know that it is. Like, I'm just going to go with it. So I call my dad. I'm like, we're not going. Text the guy that we were buying it from, cancel the appointment, all of that. My sister, my mom, and I show up to the building to meet her. And she tells us, like, I'm ready to, in a sense, retire, but it was like move on. Like, the stress had become too much. It was affecting her health, and she was ready to get out of the restaurant. And that somebody had sent her our information and said that we were looking for a place. Yeah. And so she thought, based off of, like, she knew that we were Christian. Like, we have 2 Timothy 1:7 all over everything. Like, it was on our logo. It was on our labeling, like all of that. She felt that we were the right fit, and she had been praying to the Lord that he would bring somebody in that would be able to seamlessly transition and let her go and not honestly, like, hurt the community. Like, it is such a tight-knit community out here.
Yeah.
That, like, when you lose a shop that was there for 11 years, that, like, you have all your business meetings at, that's where you go for lunch. Like, it is disappointing. And so she felt that this would be, like, the correct transition. So that was how we found that specific location.
Yeah. So you get into this place, and one thing I wanted to ask you about that you just brought up. So the homeless, how did that play out? Like, how did that manifest in what you guys were able to do? Because I'm very interested in what can be done, and what's helpful, what's not helpful. Yeah. But so in that vein, what were you guys able to do, and what kind of was your experience with that?
So the Centralia Police Department is really good. Like, any business on Tower or in Centralia in general, I think, like, if you want to trespass somebody, like, you can, like, no questions asked. If they're causing a disturbance or even just coming in too much and asking to use the bathroom and it's not a public restroom, like, whatever. So that's good. I'm not like fearful of the homeless. Like I worked at a homeless shelter for a long time, and that's why like I just have a heart for it. But you do deal with on tower specifically, like the homeless, like even defecating right outside the building doors. Like we cleaned that up. We cleaned up throw up. I mean, we cleaned up tons of trash. Like there were times that you show up to work and I didn't ever have to wake anyone up to move them, but they would be sleeping like in the pivots of the doors, you know? So you do deal with that, but it was nothing unbearable or like that we couldn't handle. You know, I do know of other businesses down there that had a bigger problem with it. Yeah. And it was more like they hated it, where like I'm literally like, this is so sad. Like, let me give you some food before you go walk around for the day. You know, I think it's all perspective too.
Yeah. So you guys were able to, I mean, that was kind of part of what you were hoping to do there, was just be able to help give them some food. And
I mean, if you know the location, like everything I prayed for was handed.
Yeah, no, you're right next to a lot of the services.
Oh,
the Salvation Army that provides a lot of services. There's the over by the Bethel Church there, they have some stuff.
The Hub, City Mission
there, and then obviously the Gather Church that's there.
Yeah, we won't get into that one.
Yeah, I would like to actually have those guys on and talk with them about awesome. So if they're out there, be ready.
Right.
If I can figure out and get a hold of you, but I'm super interested in that stuff. But you're right in that.
Yeah, we were able to feed them. Like we never turned somebody away if they just need to use the bathroom. I can't count how many homeless people came in and asked for prayer. Like, I don't know if they would like tell their friend, but there would be times where like Devin and I would have tickets on the line and there's a homeless person like waiting for prayer and be like, hey, come on, like we need to go pray for them. And a lot of times like our staff would join in. Like it was part of the fruit that the Lord like brought out of that place. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're going along and doing your business. and then you get a call, right? And this is kind of where, you know, that part of the story takes off. Can you kind of walk me through, you know, what happened there and what kind of, you know, bring me from that point through?
Yeah. Well,
for those that don't know, I mean, I think a lot of people have no idea.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff.
Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. JJ's. I don't even know what that is. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. No worries.
Yeah. So you guys are going along and making.
So we had been when we opened our business, you can find this. You can find photos of this. I have photos of this. I have the video of it. Like I stood in front of what I would say is one of the biggest ribbon cutting ceremonies I've seen the chamber throw. At JJ's. I mean, we had the sheriff department there. There was police officers, like people from all over, like gathered in front of JJsToGo. And I told Devin, I'm like, dude, I'm just going to preach for a second. Like, and I literally just dedicated this business to God in front of everybody. Like, I didn't talk about anything else. I had every single person out there. I was like, if you believe in the Lord, if you wouldn't mind extending your hands towards the building as we pray, like I covered it in the blood of Jesus. Like I told him in front of everybody, have your way, have your will, do what you want. This is your vessel and use us. That was my public declaration in front of everyone. That was ribbon cutting day. And from there was very successful. I mean, that's the most money I've ever seen. Like, it, you know, very, very successful. And it wasn't much, actually, now that I'm on this side. I'm like, that was pennies, but it was fun. It was like, wow, Lord, like, thank you, you know? And then, you know, catering was we still do have our catering license. So we're able to do small jobs when I can rent a kitchen out. But catering's a big leg. Like, it was our favorite part of JJ's. Like, Devin and I love being creative and putting our own touch on things. And the way I would get catering questions and I would give catering quotes a lot of different ways. It would be phone call, email. Some close friends would text me, but a lot of them were direct messages through social media. And so I got a direct message to cater a wedding. And from the messages, it was like, I couldn't, to me, it felt obvious that this was the groom messaging me, saying like my fiance, and like even from the photo, the profile photo, the name was, it could go for a female or a male. Like I didn't, so in my head, I'm like, this is male. I literally remember thinking like, dang, that's so nice of him. Like that takes a big weight off her plate. You know what I mean? And so I sent pricing over for a couple different things, like for pickup option or full service catering option. And I remember at that time a bill came in that we needed to pay, and we needed the money. And so they said, if you do cash, will you take a little bit of money off of it? And I was like, yeah, you know what? Like we need to pay, like I'm like, we just got this bill. Like, yes, we're, you know. So yeah, set up an appointment to get the deposit, whatever, a couple days later. And it's a Saturday, super busy in the restaurant. And do you want me to just like get right into this? You want me to like tell you?
I mean, yeah, it's your story. You tell it.
Yeah. So
you want.
I'm in the restaurant. I'm the only manager there for the day. Devin has a day off. My parents aren't there. And it's busy. Like we got a line, like we got tickets on the line, and we're working. And one of my employees comes to me and is like, hey, Jessica, the couple for the wedding tasting is here. And I'm like, tasting? I'm like, I've never done a tasting. Like I didn't know. I actually forgot that I was like gonna meet them. It was more like it's in the computer and you can like come to the line and pay it. I didn't realize like that they thought it was like a tasting or a more formal thing. I was glad because I was like, yeah, let's sit down and like go over like color. I told him I wanted to know color scheme and like all of that, you know.
Okay.
So I look up and I see a lesbian couple, and I'm not even like saying that, and you can just tell. Like I realized what was going on, and I was like, oh man. Like Devin and I had talked about this prior, like from the whole like cake baker in Colorado. Do you remember that story?
Yeah, no, I'm fairly familiar with that.
Okay. So when that was on the news, Devin and I had even discussed that if we ever got approached for a same-sex wedding, like we would only do a takeout option of it. Like we ourselves are not going to participate in that type of celebration, because our foundation is our faith. And like, if it goes against the word of God, I don't want to support it, you know? So I realized what was going on, and I was like, and I'm here alone and it's busy in here. Like I need to talk to somebody. I need some counsel before I make this decision. You know what I mean?
So at that point, are you open to all different kinds of outcomes there, or like is your mindset that you're going to take a beat and go, oh, this is not what I was expecting. And I've got, you know, my set of beliefs, and I just need to take a second to figure out how to navigate this? Or what was kind of the mindset at that point? Or had you guys already kind of decided? I know you guys had talked about it.
That was something we had talked about prior.
Okay.
And that was before we even had a location. Yeah. Like, that's just like seeing it come up on the news, and we're like, dude, I feel horrible for that cake baker and what they're going through, you know? Yeah. And what would you do in that situation? You know, that was more of the outline, but we had never been approached for this yet. So,
well, I don't know that that was kind of a landmark thing. I mean, I don't think that had been really addressed.
At least as public.
Yeah.
I now know that this is a lot more common than you think. It just doesn't get enough publicity to make like media outlets that spread it enough to find out about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I've learned that now, you know, I didn't know that then. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mindset was more like, I knew if you're a believer and you follow the Lord, like, you know when the Holy Spirit is telling you to do something. And unfortunately, like, our flesh, we fight and we're like, no, like, my idea is better. Like, no, like, I like to describe the Holy Spirit to new believers as like a gut feeling. Like, I knew what my gut was telling me was like, your faith, you better say no, because if you say yes, the regret feeling that I'm going to have in 6 months, like, I wronged this business that the Lord literally handed me from living in hell, honestly, like the pain and the hurt that I was going through, and handed it to me. And I have handled it so well that there's so much fruit coming out of it. I will have more regret over taking it than I will saying no and knowing and standing on like the word of God. So, but I did want to make sure that we were all on the same page. I mean, Devin and I are the owners, and my parents are in there every single day. My mom's running the books. My dad's my delivery driver. Like, I want to make sure as a family, like, we are all on the same page before I do this, because I had a feeling this is going to explode. Like, it's just not you can't go against the LGBTQ community or make them feel like you're against them nowadays. You get eaten alive, you know?
Yeah.
So I had a feeling. So I went in the office, and I hadn't even said hi to the couple yet. I'm like, buy them a coffee, like, have them sit down, whatever. And I go in the office, I call my mom, and I called Devin first. Devin's out of town in California at the time. And I tell her what's going on, and she's like, oh, dude. And she's pregnant at the time. So she's stressing. She's crying. She's like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like, what do we do? Then we three-way my mom and dad in. I get my little brother on the phone. He's full of the Spirit. Like, he's like, Jay, you know the word. Like, business is nothing. If we're all but mere dust, as the Bible says, like, this business is like this big of God's plan. So, like, your faith is the most important thing in this instance, you know? So I was like, all right. So we hang up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call my boyfriend. So Joey and I had only been dating, I want to say 3 or 4 months at the time, maybe a little bit longer. Like, we were good friends for a while before we started dating. But I was like, oh, this boy's about to break up with me. Like, this man's going to find out. Like, I ain't playing about my faith. Like, I know that we talk about the Lord. We love the Lord, but man, some stuff is about to happen, you know? Like, I just had a feeling, and I was like, I'm gonna call him just to give him a heads up, because I don't know, like, how fast this is gonna make social media and stuff. And I call him, and this was actually when I knew. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna marry you, dude. He goes, Jessica, where is your faith? And I was like, what? And he's like, you have morals and you have faith. Where is it lying right now? In a business decision. And I was like, okay. He's like, I support any decision that you make, but if you're asking me, that's what I would say to you. And I was like, all right. So we get off the phone, and I was in the office for 30 minutes. I remember looking at the clock and being like, they've been sitting there a long time. And I go out, and I tried to be as gentle as possible. And I just told them, like, you know, we're a faith-based business, and I can't cater an in-person same-sex wedding, unfortunately. So
just to clarify,
mm-hmm.
you didn't have any issues with obviously providing food for them to take.
No. I think there's a difference in, like, at the catering side. I think what some people might not understand is, like, we didn't have a ton of employees. Okay. Like, so and especially on a catering event, Devin and I had never sent employees alone to a catering event. We catered, Devin and I. It was like almost part of the package, because Devin and I, we have the eye for it. We have the detail for it. We set it up. We are fully involved. Like, we know your color scheme. The table is decorated accordingly. You can pay more for even more decor added, like all kinds of stuff. So this particular event was like full service in person, where we would be there. Yes, we are not guests or invited per se, but when we are there and like out of respect, like wouldn't you want us to like clap when they announce you coming in if the reception's separate from where the ceremony is? Wouldn't you want us to be able to be joyful and so happy to celebrate your union if we are standing there? If the food was taken out of the restaurant, I mean, I can't control who that goes to. And I mean, people order our takeout all the time. I can't even guarantee that nobody's ever ordered our takeout catering and taken it to a same-sex wedding, because when you order it to go, I don't know what you're wanting it for, you know?
Right. And I don't want to presume, but like it probably doesn't really matter.
Right.
Because like, so, and just, you know, one of the things I'm always trying to get to on this is just clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, hypothetically they say, well, you know, that's fine. Can we just order this food? You would have had no issue with that?
Yeah. It didn't have the opportunity to get there.
Okay. Like, and had they said like, well, can you just drop it off and set it up?
No.
Okay.
When I said what I said, it just triggered anger, which I do understand. Like, I'm not even saying like you have no right to be angry. Like, I understand, you know, that is can make somebody very angry. But it's not going to change like my decision. Like, especially when there's so much anger around it, why then would I be like, oh, you know what? I changed my mind. Yeah. Now because you're mad, I'll go. You know, why did you want me there? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it was after I had said that, it was just a blow up, and they were gone. Like, there was no time for like civil conversation around what I was saying to them.
Okay. So you would have been amenable to figuring something out and just again, for clarity's sake, like the issue is you don't want to be part of the ceremony and part of that part of it, but you don't have an issue.
I don't want to be the one attending.
Right.
Look, if Devin or I have to be saying, yes, I will attend or not. Yeah. That's what I'm telling you. Like, I won't attend this.
Yeah. So that's like the main crux of it in your mind, is that you just didn't want to participate in that event. Right.
And I will say, like, now that I've had so much time to reflect, I mean, we're talking a year ago now.
Yeah.
I could have used different words. Maybe I should.
Yeah, like that's one thing I was gonna ask actually, is like, having all this time, like, if you could go back, is there anything that you would change about that interaction? And what would that be?
That's a good question. I've had people ask me, why didn't I just lie? Like, why didn't I just say I double booked myself? And I'm like, but I'm talking about my faith. So like, why would I lie to them? Why would I turn around and lie when I'm talking about my faith? Like, if you know me, I'm not quiet about Jesus. Like, so why would I turn and lie like what the Bible tells me not to do? Yeah. I do not have regret around it. I think that the Lord has used this, like, man, he has used this. He's so good. And he's just proven himself to me, like, through this. And if there's a regret, it would be like, I wish I would have used different words. Yeah. I wish I would have.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't even.
Hey, we won't cater in person to this, but we can do takeout. I wish I would have said that right away instead of being like, you know what? I'm so sorry. Like, we do not cater same-sex weddings. I think like that terminology,
like focusing on,
is what hurt them, you know?
Yeah.
And caused so much discord. So that would be the only thing that I wish I could go back and change. But man, when I tell you how nervous I was, like, I was shaking. I had tears in my eyes. I was like, I'm literally about to. I told my mom on the phone with them before I walked out. I was like, well, I hope you're ready for a lawsuit. And then I even told Devin, I was like, dude, we might lose everything. She's like, Jessica, Like, this isn't even ours. Like, what are you talking about? Like, in front of everybody, I told them, this is not my business. Like, so in reality, like, it's not ours in the first place. So if we lose it, okay, so be it, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't know anything about this story, but I mean, I'd heard different stories like this, and you know, it's an interesting conversation on so many levels, just across the board. I mean, there's so many layers to these things.
Yeah.
And my take on a lot of this stuff actually is that people's, I don't understand why the government is involved in marriage at all anyway. A lot of these issues would be resolved. I don't understand why they're involved, because it is something that is an invention of
God.
You're right. Like at the time, like at the earliest that we know that was a thing, that was the only group of people practicing it in the world. And for a long time after that,
what
marriage.
Okay.
Like marriage was just not a thing.
Yeah.
For almost any culture other than
like Jewish.
Yeah, it was
stuff.
just Jewish culture, and it was specific to that belief structure.
Right.
So, obviously all these thousands of years later, now we have America and the government and everything. And I think that's like, there's a lot of consternation about these issues and, same-sex marriage and all that kind of stuff. And it just, there's a practical aspect of it that I always think, like, why is the government even involved? Because, there's a part of me that says, well, because the government's gotten involved in marriage, which it really shouldn't, in my opinion, have any place in. It's not for them, like it doesn't have anything to do with the government, but they got involved at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I probably need to learn a little bit more about how that actually came about. But, it does allow for certain privileges, like there's stuff where you have to be legally married in order to participate in certain things or to be able to be it, and so it interjects all these practical things into society that I don't even know if I want to say necessitate, but it definitely prompts a larger discussion where it's like, well, if we're going to have all these different kinds of relationships, or we're going to allow these things because of liberty and freedom and all this stuff, well, now how do those folks operate in society without getting involved in marriage? But then how do people who view marriage as strictly religious practice, how do those things layer? And I think it's the government's kind of conflated those two arenas into a way that kind of causes these things to hit head on.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because if marriage is God's design, like he came up with marriage, and marriage is designed between a man and a woman to represent Christ and the church. It's the closest connection or comparison, if you will, of how Christ loves us as the ones who love him. And so even people who don't necessarily believe in God, or, let's take an atheist, for example, are they still getting married? It's interesting because it's like, if all these things were made by God and designed by God, how, on the other hand, do we deny God when he's the one that literally invented these things that we still participate in nowadays?
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah, and the issue becomes, again, that, there's estate law and all these other things that get involved that don't have anything to do with the religious practice and the spiritual aspect of marriage and how it was invented. Yeah. I mean, I've talked to several people about this, and it's always really interesting because when I say, well, I'm curious as to why, and I mean, I'm not curious because I get it, but there's a part of it where it's like, well, why do atheists and same-sex couples even want to be married
That's what I was saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Because but I do understand, because the government has forced it upon all of us that it's required to, and I don't know how much this is true, but I've heard this, that, you can't visit a loved one in the hospital unless you're a spouse in certain situations, and you can't, so it's like, of course, I think whether, people agree with it or don't agree with it morally, I think there's also a thing that, liberty is always a messy proposition. Freedom is always a messy proposition. I mean, it's, obviously when God made people, he gave everybody liberty to do, what they decide to do. And so that's always messy, because we always, we do things for all kinds of reasons, and so, so you have a society where you go, well, we have liberty and freedom to live any kind of way that you choose, and we're not going to make that illegal. But then there's this, part of America that also, has the liberty to practice their religion and all that stuff. And so when we get those things intertwined in a way where there's practical matters at play, it really does muddy the waters on those things for everybody. And I think that seems to be the biggest challenge, because it's not really, I don't think they're viewing marriage the same way that maybe somebody else who's, from a church, or like, it's not, it's the same word, and it's a similar arrangement, but it's not the same thing. Like, we're not thinking about it the same way, which I think everybody says, like, in this life and on, as a political matter or practical matter, like, people are allowed to live however they want, and we're not trying to legislate that.
Yeah. That's one of the beautiful things of America. I mean, you have the freedom to live your life however you want. And just as much as you're allowed to marry same sex, I'm allowed to say, I don't want to participate in something. It doesn't have to be this. It could be anything.
Yeah. And so just for clarity's sake, and just ask the question, like, on a practical level, like, you're saying you're allowed to do that, and it doesn't have to bother me as a person.
Yeah.
But you also don't have to agree with it spiritually or morally.
Yeah.
And you can still love people.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, so it's like, we try to conflate all this.
Yeah.
It's a weird time that we live in. Everything's very binary. Like, like, you're either for me or against me. And it's like, man, all the people that I'm in relationship with, like, on any level, it's like, we all have stuff that we like that each other do, or wish so-and-so would stop doing, or whatever. And it's like, and I have friends that do certain things that, like, I would never want my kids to do, or believe things that, I don't want to believe, and we still are friends and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we kind of have this really, like, highly charged climate where government's gotten so involved in so many aspects of our lives that now these things are running into each other head on and causing these situations that maybe shouldn't even exist. Like, you should maybe, neither one of you, in my opinion, on either side of that table, probably need to even be worrying about that in reality.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting. And so admittedly, like, I'd heard what I had heard, which was barely anything. And my first thought was like, well, why didn't they just give them the sandwiches? Like, and I think that's a lot of people's reaction, but it's kind of good to talk,
for sure.
Like, let you explain the whole story, because it's not,
right.
It doesn't sound like that has anything to do with it. It's like, it's not like you're serving whoever walks in.
Absolutely. And it goes back to what you just said. Like, does that mean you can't, or you don't love them or something, and or you can love them? It's hard for people to understand if they don't know the Lord. So, like, I have so much, like, grace in my heart, like, for anyone who doesn't know the Lord the way I do, like, or the way that I know my family and my friends do. Like, there's just so much clarity when you come to him. Like, he provides that. And I mean, I have family members that are part of the LGBTQ. I had an employee working for me the entire time, part of the LGBTQ. Like, and we were so close with them. Like,
Yeah.
this was not about like, I don't agree with your lifestyle and I don't like you. Like, that's not in any sense what this was about. Like, I see many people that the Lord absolutely loves and is trying to call them home. And our flesh fights so hard. And like, I have so much compassion and love for them, and not just for them, like for anybody, like going through any situation or, living any type of lifestyle. Like, this was strictly about like, I'm not going to stand there and like celebrate something that my faith doesn't align with. Like, you wouldn't want me to, like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, I think it's, it's an interesting, and again, like, it's an interesting request on in some ways when people, so part of a lot of the kind of woke political movement, or the woke religion. Yeah, I heard somebody say that, wokeness is a religion masquerading as a political movement. And I think there's, some truth to that. It's interesting how it kind of mirrors a lot of the like, I'll probably get in a lot of trouble for saying this, but there's kind of, the Salem witch trials and the puritanical, like, and this is not to say that everything that Puritans did was bad or that everything they did was good, but there was this, where there was kind of this crazy self-righteousness thing that was like, had reached this fever pitch and gotten into a really weird arena where now it was costing people their lives, and there was kind of this social contagion. And I see a lot of parallels with that, where it's like you kind of, and it can kind of happen to any group of people where you kind of lose sight of how to get along with folks around you, and that people have value, and whether they agree with you or don't agree with you, or like everything you do or don't like everything you do. And it can kind of get out of control. And so it's like this new, this new Puritan type of thing, except for without a transcendent authority over it. People just kind of making it up on the fly. And so it gets really
offended
swirly
about literally everything.
Well, I saw something the other day that I thought was really funny. This lady was coming in asking, I think, Congress for money, and she was a nonprofit, and she's the guy talking to her about what they do. He asks her if she's a racist, and she goes, she's like, "Why are you asking me about this? Like, I'm here to talk about my nonprofit." And he's like, "Well, just answer the question." So she goes, "No, I'm not a racist." And then he goes, "Well, so then are you a secret white supremacist?" And she's like, "Why are you asking me this?" But he goes, "Well, in your training materials, you say that if somebody denies that they're a racist, it means they're a secret white supremacist." So he's like feeding her back her own theology.
Wow.
But because it's, and it's not even to make fun of those people, because like I kind of have an understanding of where they're coming from in some of this stuff, like what their mindset is.
Yeah.
But when you don't have that transcendent moral authority that obviously we would say is God or Jesus, which the same thing, we can get into all that.
Yeah.
But some other time. But when you don't have a transcendent moral authority that has, we C.S. Lewis said this, made this argument that, one of the proofs for God is that everybody has a baseline moral code that they adhere to.
Oh, yeah.
Through time and space and culture and all that stuff.
It's the same thing as where you get like clearly you don't have to be told it's wrong to kill somebody.
Right. Like nobody wants to be murdered.
Right.
Nobody.
There is I call it a moral compass.
Yeah.
It's inside of you.
But there's a baseline morality that literally even people who practice it regularly know they don't like it. Like they don't want to be killed. Like even cannibals. It's like they don't want to be eaten.
For sure.
You know, like they don't want
they fight to eat the other one.
They don't want their friends to be, you know, so like even if you're in a culture that's like some of these things are ingrained, you still don't like negative things happening to you. Absolutely. And like you would call it a negative thing if it happens to you. So I think all that stuff's interesting, but that's where this whole movement, it's interesting to me to see like they're trying to make up a theology as they go. And there's so many holes in it because it doesn't have the benefit of you know, thousands of years of being proved correct. Right. And so it's, you know, it's very fallible in that way. That's kind of like
and I think too, like this ties in right into what I was about to tell you. Like the woke agenda, or even how strong the LGBTQ movement is, they come to a defense of each other that is in like a screaming matter. So like us as Christians, you shouldn't see somebody who is a real Christ follower cussing you out or tearing you down because you're gay. Like you shouldn't see that. Like Christ did not call us to do that. He wouldn't do that. We shouldn't be doing that, right? Yeah. So that's like, you think of Christians like that, right? Like you're like, no.
Yeah, you've seen stuff on the news where people that are purporting to be Christians are carrying signs that are just disgusting. Right. And like anybody who's a real, it's like,
you're like, dude, I would never do that, and you're embarrassing.
Yeah, like what are you doing? Like that's horrible. And
putting a bad name to it. Yeah.
Yes, you know. Yeah.
But the way that I dealt with it after. So I don't believe, and I never believed, that these two young individuals were the ones that caused any of what happened to us after. Within 2 hours of me telling them no, one of their moms had put together a big post on Facebook. Just, I can't even remember what it said, but bashing us, to say the least, kind of saying what had happened, but, you know, from a different side of the lens. And, I mean, by the time I saw the post, it had been up for like 12 minutes. And if I remember right, it had something like in the 70s with shares on this lady's Facebook page.
Like 70,000.
No, like 70 shares. No, 70, within a couple minutes.
Yeah, okay, 70. Okay.
Yeah, and so...
And this is, and just for context, like how long did this conversation last between...
Oh my God.
It's like...
Less than a minute. Less than a minute. From the time I walked up to them and shook their hand, said hi to them, and they're obviously very excited. I know from planning a wedding now, when you get something checked off of your wedding to-do list, like you are relieved, you are excited. So they're very happy. Like it added to how bad I felt, you know?
And you know, looking back, like you wish you would have kind of led with not the big negative, and kind of eased into that. Yeah. Is that kind of like if kind of, I mean, you know, and I'm not saying you should regret anything, but I'm always curious because, man, the amount of things that I have said in my life that I go, you know,
should have said that a little different.
Wish I would have come into that differently because, you know, I think something at least that, I mean, I'm kind of terrible with this stuff. Like I just kind of say stuff I think, and I haven't always thought about how are people going to receive this. And I do, it's something that I've thought about a lot, like try to take a little more for myself, a little more responsibility over how somebody receives things. I mean, there's only so much you can do. Yeah. But I've thought about that because I tend to be pretty blunt and pretty like whatever. Yeah. Like I just kind of throw stuff out there. And I'm, you know, like I said, I'm not highly emotional. So I have to try to remember that there's a lot of people out there that are emotional decision makers. Like I filter everything through emotion. I filter very little through emotion. So like I kind of react really slowly to stuff because of that. But sometimes I come in a little hot, and I'm trying to be better at recognizing that. And this is just,
I agree with you. I think especially when it comes to like marriage and personal relationships, you do have to take into consideration how that's going to make that person feel. Mm-hmm. I think also, I wish I would have said it different to avoid hurting them. Because the way that I look at it is like, I would rather have you tell me something than dance around something.
I'm very similar in that way. Like, I want people to just tell me what they have to tell me. We can just get on to the next thing. But
and I also think part of that comes from knowing Christ too. Like, if I'm wrong somewhere, let me know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I was more like, they gave me the option of if I had overbooked myself, because I started the conversation with, I'm not going to be able to cater this for you. And they said, oh, why? Like, did you overbook yourself? And so that option was there. And I was like, no, unfortunately, like, we are a faith-based business. Like, we do not cater same-sex weddings in person. And it was like instantly when I said that, like, I saw just like the rage that was about to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. But it honestly, like, nothing against them. Like, nothing. Zero. Like, I don't even, I don't know. Don't know how to explain it. But what ensued afterwards, like when I said that the LGBTQ community screams when something is felt like they're done wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I dealt with after. That was the like, I've never dealt with anything like this in my life. I do think part of the reason I was allowed to go through this from the Lord is to see how on the other side, even how people can commit suicide from things on social media and being said to them on social media. I mean, we dealt with severe bashing as a family, especially me, but I mean,
like, yeah. What kind of stuff? Like,
so many. I literally have a file in my phone of like bad comments, because I'm like, if this ever goes anywhere, like, we dealt with things like death threats was like one of them, like telling me, like, and my family to kill ourselves, jump off a cliff. Like, it was like, oh, this business is shutting down. Oh, this business is shutting down. Comments like my sister doesn't know this, so, but on the comment of her pregnancy announcement, somebody had put, I hope that baby's stillborn. And then somebody else piggybacked on it and said it would be better for that baby to die in the womb than to be born to this family that wouldn't support him if he's gay. Like, I deleted all of these before she could see them. But just, it was absolutely awful. Paired with, we got so many bad Google reviews, like 300 and something 1-star reviews within a week. And so many people had reported that we were a closed business that Google literally took our page down from Google. So if you wanted to come eat at JJ's, you couldn't even find it, like, unless you were going on social media to get the address. And then when you're taken off Google, I mean, you're taken off everything. You're taken off Yelp, TripAdvisor, all these Apple Maps, like all these places where, like, if you're driving through on I-5, how we would get a lot of traffic,
yeah,
and you're just Googling like sandwiches or lunch place or whatever, like, we're nowhere to be found. And that took me 3 months and like $700 later to get Google to put us back on, like, for them to build the profile. I didn't pay to get any reviews taken down. People say that I did all the time. I'm like, I don't even think if you could do that, I don't know about it. But the $700 was like to reinstate us and like open a whole new account and have Google control it, or a third party, so that nobody could report that we're closed unless Google contacted me first and I told them myself. So that's
not baked into the cake already. Like, anybody can just go on to any.
Oh, if you go to a business and you report it closed enough, yeah, Google will take it down.
And they don't even check with the people that own the business.
You know what? In Google's defense, they might have tried to contact me, but at the time, first of all, the person who had built our website for us, this is not her fault at all, had put our phone numbers, our personal cell phone numbers on our website, like mine, Devin's, my mom, and my dad's.
Okay.
And so talk about spam calls, right? Like talk about like you answer the phone and they're like either screaming or they're like, hey, will you cater my wedding? I'm gay. And I'm like, dude, but even at the restaurant, I mean, our phone lines were blocked by calls for like 2 weeks. The second I walked into the restaurant, like at 6 a.m. on the Monday that we were opening after this had happened, the phone's already ringing. And like you answer it, and it was so weird. Like one of the main things was like people would call and you would answer, and they would literally just let out like a blood-curdling scream, like in your ear, and then hang up. But it happened so consistently over the first 2 weeks that I would have people DM me and be like, hey, I'm trying to place an order and I can't get through.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't even, there was times where we had to like unplug the phone. Like it was just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So.
That's pretty wild. I've never even thought about that you could get enough people coordinated to get somebody taken down off of Google just by falsely claiming that the store was closed.
And on our website, there's a really cool page that shows like the algorithm and like where it's taking place in the whole world. And I mean, we had people from like, I had a guy from, I want to say it was the UK, like submit a photo of a fly in a salad and say that he was eating that at our restaurant. Like, you don't even live.
Yeah. If
that happened, I would be like, oh, like I would do anything to make it right. Like,
yeah.
The algorithm on our website showed in that month of November, we had over 30,000 Google searches for JJsToGo out of England. Not even out of the US.
Yeah.
Like we had people from Australia commenting. We had LGBTQ influencers posting our page, and then me and Devin would wake up, and if we had like thousands of notifications, we would know that an influencer got a hold of the page because they would blast it, and then all of a sudden the comments would start again, the messages would start again, all of that. Like, and that went on for months. I mean, one of the worst things, I said this on my Instagram, one of the worst things was myself, my sister, my mom and dad all got the same text message in one night that said, get ready, cops are on the way. And then they called my cell phone and my husband answered, and they had relayed some sort of message to the effect of like they had reported that we had a bomb in our house with our children. Or in my house at the time with him and his daughter and my daughter. And it was like, I had the sheriff's number. Like there was so much law enforcement involved trying to protect even my family because of the threats that we were getting, that like immediately I called Rob Snaza. I was like, dude, this is the phone call we just got. Like, I don't know if whatever came of that for them, but yeah, crazy things that you would never catch.
Yeah.
You would never catch, honestly, any other community doing something this outlandish. Like it just doesn't make sense to, I say, no, I don't want to participate in this wedding. Well, in turn, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you know that you're hated. Like,
well, and to destroy your livelihood. And I mean, yeah, I say this with a lot of things, but like, and I don't know if anybody cares, but it's like, man, you got to be careful what you set as a baseline for the rules of the game. Like, like it's crazy. I mean, you know, just with political stuff, like there's things that sometimes, you know, conservatives will get in power and they're like, oh, well, we'll get rid of this barrier. It's like, well, you may not want to do that because you may not always be.
What's the other side of the coin?
Yeah, like, and so, man, we got to be really careful with that stuff. And that's like, it's a concern that I have that, you know, things like this, or, you know, with the, you know, I don't know what all the letters are, but, you know, that community and, or any community, when they get really violent and vigilant, you know, it like goes to like a totally new level. It's like, man, you know, I don't want to see the pendulum swing when all of a sudden that's not as fashionable or it's not as supported. And then there's, you know, some sort of reaction from kind of the polar opposite side. It's like, you know, as humans, we have such a problem with moderation. You know, like we can't ever do anything now. Well, and we want everything like so big, you know. It's like, you know, we have a hard time with just doing things like in a controlled way. Yeah. And so you see this, you know, it's like, you know, I always say this with like labor unions. Like there was a time where, you know, you had the Industrial Revolution and people were like literally working themselves to death. And it's so like, and they were not getting paid anything. And so you have to have labor unions, and they come in, and because the workers have no power and the companies had all the power. And it's like, okay, so they come in, and nobody that starts to gain momentum ever stops at fair. You know, it's like,
they always got a one-up.
Yeah. So like, it's legitimate to say that, you know, like in that environment, like the workers need to be taken care of. Right. Right. And it's a necessary movement. So that happens. And then they start gaining momentum. Right. And it's like, great. Right. And then they just blow past fair, you know, because they've gained momentum. And it's like, then they want to try to attain ultimate power over the companies. And so now, you know, we've had some of that stuff. And then those things are starting to change back. And it's like, the pendulum just swings from one extreme to the other constantly, and it stays fair for like 5 seconds as they like blow past the midway point. And it's like, there's things like that all the time. You see, you know, like, you know, with the feminist movement, it's like there's some things where it's like, yeah, obviously there was aspects of that needed to be addressed, and then it just like it blows right past fair. And my concern is that, you know, or equal or whatever, and then now the concern is, you know, you got these, you know, hyper masculine women hating guys that have gotten sick of it. Yeah. Because, you know, for obvious reasons. And now like you see that starting to come back down. It's like, can we please like not go all the way? I mean, you look down this 20 years and you go, man, is this going to be some like, you know, meathead, like woman hating society 20 years from now? And then it just goes right back to like, you know, just crazy feminists that say everything in the world is, you know, the fault of men and everything that they are. It's like you just kind of keep promoting these really extreme.
We need Jesus.
For sure.
It's just like it covers he covers every answer. Like, and you know, not only that, like what people didn't see, which to me, money has, you can ask anybody who knows me, money, I don't care. It does not matter to me. Like, I'm not out here chasing a dollar. Like, it doesn't run my life in any way, shape, or form. Like, praise God, has no stronghold on me. But I will say, when you involve business, and businesses take a lot of money to run. I mean, that was a 4,600 square foot building on tower,
it's book space,
right? We went from making plenty of money, being able to cover costs, go debt free for the first like 4 months, 5 months of the business, and then some, like tithing off of the business, like certain things like that, to literally, I mean, the first month that we were starting to get boycotted, because that was like the main thing that we dealt with was boycotting after. Like, I had customers who I had been cooking for since I was out of my little apartment in Centralia that messaged me and was like, I can no longer support you. Like, I can't believe I ordered from you for so long. Like, if I would have known, blah, blah, blah. And these are people who, like, I walk up to their front door and hand them their food. I take it to their job. Like, They have spread the word about JJ's. Like, we went from making a good amount. Like, it felt like what some people would say is financial freedom, to like literally cut in half the next month. And then from there, dwindled down to like even less. Like, I mean, we were like, the boycotting that was the hardest thing to deal with, especially going from being loved so much and then to like hated so much. But a lot led up to that. Like, one part of the story that I kind of wanted to highlight was Devin and I got a little bit of mentorship, it felt like, from another restaurant owner on Tower. And man, we love her. Like, we talk about her to this day. And she would mentor us, and she'd be like, if you even need a price list, like if you want me to go over your price list and see where we can cut costs, like let me know, you know? And she is married to a woman too, but like that's neither here nor there, right? And we met with her and her wife after this had gone down, because we loved them, or her especially, because we had the relationship with her. And we did that with everybody in our lives that we were close with that were same sex. Like, we wanted to talk to them to make sure that they understood where we were coming from. And most of them, actually all of them, except this couple, were the one that was like, we've known you guys forever. Like, you have been nothing but good to us. Like, we know that you love us. If you don't want to cater, like, fine. Like, even when I talked to my sister-in-law on the phone from California, I was like, sis, I got to talk to you before you find this out on the news. Like, I did this. And she's like, Jessica, I've known you since we were kids. And even when you were pregnant out of wedlock, you were still preaching at me. And I'm like, dude, like, that sounds so bad. I'm like, but she's like, I know that you would say no to that. Like, I don't even have, like, you're fine. Like, I love you, blah, blah, blah. And then she went on to post her support for JJ's right after, right? And so anyways, we met with this couple, and it was a super long conversation, a lot of hurt feelings there, like definitely apologizing for hurting the feelings, but not like as far as what I believe and my faith, you know? And one thing they told us that really stuck out to me was they said that when they found out that JJsToGo was going to be taking over this location, they were in a Centralia Downtown Association meeting when they were told this. And, you know, there's a lot of people in this meeting. Anybody who has a business on Tower or is part of the Historical Association is allowed to be there. And one of the red flags or concerns that somebody brought up in that meeting is that we were faith-based. They knew this based off of our social media. When I used to post our food every day, every morning of what we were making for that day, there was always a Bible verse at the end. There's always worship music playing in a video or a reel. Like, so you know that we love Jesus, right? And she said that in that meeting, they actually, no, JJsToGo was already open. I'm sorry. We were already open, and they were in a Centralia Downtown Association meeting, and they were addressing concerns that we were faith-based. We had scripture on our walls. Like I said, knew it from social media. And the Pride Festival was getting ready to come to downtown, and it was going to be on Pine Street, right there in the plaza next to the restaurant. And they were concerned that we wouldn't participate, that we wouldn't be open or whatever because we had scripture on our walls. Mind you, that whole situation had not happened yet. We're talking like this is happening like a month into business, what I'm discussing now. And they sent, the Centralia Downtown Association was like, okay, let's have you guys, the same-sex couple, take the Pride flyers to them right now and come back and tell us what they say. So they did. They came in. And I told them, I was like, oh, I'm like, thank you. I'm like, cool. Like, we were excited that it was going to be a busy weekend coming up. Like, we didn't think anything else. Like, and they asked if we would hang the flyers in the windows. And I told them, like, unfortunately, we don't hang anything in our windows. If I do it for one thing, I got to do it for everything. We only do it for JJ's events. And that's just how we run it. And I was like, but I'll keep these. And if anybody wants one, they can have one. So I set them, took them from them, set them down, whatever. And they told us this when we met with them after this whole big ordeal. And when me and Devin sat down with them, they told us that they had already known from the beginning that because of our faith, they were like the downtown association was testing us with that. And I remember when they said that, I looked at them and I'm like, so you're telling me that you guys judged us because of scripture on our walls and worship music playing, but you're telling me I'm judging you by not wanting to attend this ceremony or this rehearsal, whatever it was. And they're like, yeah, well, we weren't, they were. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, okay. Like, so it shows you, like, if I was Muslim or I was Buddhist or even Jehovah's Witness or Mormon, I would have been applauded for sticking to my religion. Yeah. Nobody would have come. First of all, you wouldn't have asked me because you will not be alive anymore if you're Muslim and say you're gay. Like, they don't approve of that whatsoever. But we all have Muslim friends. We all have Jehovah's Witness friends. We all have Mormon friends. If I were any other religion, rather than saying, like, I am a Christ follower, and you can actually see, like, the fruit of it through that restaurant, through my life, through my family's lives, you wouldn't have, there would be no question. And if I would have said no, it would have been like, oh, if I would have led with, oh, I'm sorry, I'm Muslim. Like, we can't. It would have been like, good job. Like, you've stuck to your religion type of thing. At least that's how it feels nowadays. That's how this woke agenda has kind of made it feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you think that there is the reason that that's the case is because Christianity kind of uniquely has this tenet in it that you love people but don't love every action that people take. And so there's more room in the Christian mentality and the Christian tenet to accept people. And so do you think there's something to that? It feels like maybe that's a place that could be brought into that it could be co-opted.
Sure.
Because there's kind of a crack there where it's like that a lot of people people really have trouble with that, I feel like, because one of the things that, we were talking before just about the mentality, but people really have trouble separating out that what I think and who I am are different things. They're not the same thing.
Yes.
And people conflate that, their ideas with their personhood. And, and even where we've come to in society now where we conflate, every, like sexual desire with our actual personhood. Yeah. And so we take these things that, we see change in people all the time. Right. And you're seeing this kind of in that community. People fluctuate often between all these various titles, between, non-binary or all the different things that are there, and they kind of fluctuate throughout. And so this is a kind of a changing thing, kind of like our emotions. Like sometimes I'm, happy with somebody, sometimes I'm furious at the same person. That's a thing that changes based on outside stuff. But I think in our society right now, we're really having a difficult time where we're conflating all that stuff. Like I have a political idea and that defines my personhood. And so if you attack my idea, you're attacking me. Or if you don't want to participate in, my ideas of sexual desire for myself, if you don't want to be a part of that in all the various forms that it takes, that's an attack on me personally. And I think one of the things that if we're gonna actually get back to being more civil with each other just across the board, it's like we have to be able to separate those things out.
Oh, for sure.
Because your ideas change over time.
Feelings change, emotions change.
All kinds of stuff changes, and it's an ever evolving process. And hopefully we're gaining an understanding every day. We're gaining in wisdom. We're gaining more information, stuff that we don't know enough about, and we find out more. And now we're changing our opinions on those things. So, so those things are always changing. I think one of the things that's so valuable about the biblical narrative is that everybody has value, not because of who they are, what they look like, but just based on the single fact that you are created by God.
Yeah.
And so it's the most revolutionary idea in the history of the world to say nothing else matters, and it puts us all on an equal plane to say that you don't have any more or less value than I do, and our value lies in something that that none of us can control, and that nobody can see. It's just that God created us,
right?
And so whether we're rich, poor, smart, dumb, all the different things that you can be, it doesn't really matter. If you are struggling with addiction, or you're all buttoned up and you're killing it out in the world, like that, those two people don't have different values. They have different outcomes, and they have different circumstances, and there's all kinds of other nuances there. But the idea that people have value solely based on the fact that they were created by God is probably the most important thing ever to come across mankind.
Well, and what you're saying as far as like your feelings sexually identify me, right? Like that's like the idea behind not only LGBTQ, but like more things. Like the Bible said, Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me. Well, like let's context this, right? Like in that day, the cross represented sin and wrongdoing. So you're supposed to pick that up and follow him. Deny your flesh, and he will show you like the true desires of your heart and who you really are. We all have feelings. We all have different desires. But it's not until you are following him that you see and realize like the real true thing that he made you to be. We are all made in God's image. Like the Bible is so clear about that. He loves all of us the same. He does look at all sin the same, but sin separates us from Christ. So when you're actively living in a sin, you're going to go further away from him, and it's not him drifting from you. People constantly are like, God doesn't love me. God left me. I can't hear God. Okay, but what are you doing to better that situation? Because he gives us free will.
Yeah.
So if we keep turning away and living in repeated sin and not repenting means to completely turn from your ways and go the opposite way, he will build the faith in you, and you will build your trust in him that he can take any sin from your life and make you whole and into what he designed for you to be. It's like we're the creation trying to tell the creator that he's wrong or he's crazy. Like it's just not possible. So I feel like there's a lot that like plays into like even the LGBTQ side, and like my feelings against like my sexual feelings determine who I am. Well, that's definitely what Satan would want you to think. Like he has taken one of the most sacred things that the Lord made and designed between a husband and wife, and totally twisted it and changed it to feed your flesh. Well, of course he did. Like, he wants you. He doesn't want you to know the Lord. He doesn't want you to know who you actually are. He doesn't want you to follow Jesus and make it to heaven and, tell others about Jesus. He doesn't want you to do that. So what is he going to do? Yeah, okay, well, I'm going to put in front of you exactly what you think you like every single day, what your eyes are indulging on, right? And twist it to make you think just because you like that, that's who you are. And then when you put it into so many people, right, you end up with this woke agenda, like you said, where that screams, that is so loud, where like us as Christians, we take the more tame side. I mean, they told Jesus, call down the legions right now and save you. And he stayed completely silent.
Yeah.
So if that's not a depiction for you as what we do as Christians, like, we're not going to scream at you that you're wrong. Like, we don't have to. We all have a moral compass. We all fight the flesh every day. It's just if you actually listen and kill it,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even I think, or do you think that this is sort of an outflow of kind of that evolutionary theology where we've said, well, we don't have a spiritual aspect and there is no, because I mean, we keep learning about all these ancient civilizations and how technologically advanced and how brilliant they are.
Yeah.
We kind of think that, well, they were done,
society, totalitarian or whatever.
Right. And so, but those societies were very aware of a spiritual aspect to the world. Yeah. And it's actually, it's a newer mindset to not believe in those things at all, which now evolutionists are starting to come back around into that, except for they like to talk about it in terms of aliens and things like that.
Sure.
So, but they've kind of run out of room scientifically. Like everything's been kind of proven that's not a possible theory, so they have to kind of go back. But do you think that a lot of this has come from, our generation when we were kids, evolution was taught as fact, not as a theory. And then so we've got a whole generation of people that were told, well, you don't have a spirit. And all that you are is your animal impulses.
Wow.
And so you go through your life going, well, if I'm just, an evolutionary part of this evolutionary chain, there's no God, I have no spirit. And so how do you identify yourself if you don't have, if you can't find your identity in that? So it leaves people with this question, well, so what am I?
Right.
Like if I'm not created by a creator and I have no, I have this finite time on earth that I never know when it's going to end.
Yes.
And this is all there is. And the best that can happen to me is I turn into dirt one day and I just need to suck as much out of this life as I can get. Then your focus turns not from things that last beyond you.
Right.
Like legacy and, all these things that people in ancient times and even, in our founders, like they all thought about America far beyond their lifetime.
Absolutely.
And so they made decisions, people, at every level were making decisions in that way. And then we get into this time of history where we teach every kid in school, there's no heaven, there's no God, it's a scientific fact, and all you are is a clump of cells with no real purpose. And so now you're left to try to figure out, well, where do I fit in the world?
It's so sad.
And you're kind of denying this part of you that is kind of screaming out to be known. But now what are you left with? Like all you can do is go, well, how can I be the most entertained, the most, experience the most amount of good feelings and ecstasy and whatever I can do. And then it seems like a natural outflow. And we're about,
it's like further down the line of eat, drink, and be merry. For tomorrow we die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially that idea taught to everybody through, well, this is all that's left. And so where else do you go? But, well, now I have to make my whole life about things that happen to me, things that I feel, things that I want in my, because the whole focus becomes about your body.
Me, what do I want, right?
Yeah, and even more so, do you think it's not even about you? Because what does that mean? I think the biblical picture is, that we're created in God's image and God has 3 specific aspects to his personhood, and we have the same. There's the mind and the body and the spirit. Yeah. And so it doesn't mean that we look like God. We're made in the same fashion. So we have these 3 very specific aspects. Well, if you take the spiritual part out, now you're mostly just body.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so everything, it's not even about I, because that can be a loaded conversation just by itself. What does that even entail? But if you take out the spirit part and even some of the mental stuff, because a lot of the evolutionary stuff is that your mind is just kind of serving your body anyway.
Crazy.
And so everything becomes about what your body is experiencing. And then now fast forward a generation or two, and now that's all anybody ever thinks about is, well, the totality of I.
Yeah, you're right.
Is what I do with my body.
And it's just not the case.
Yeah, and it's manifesting all these, and the pendulum's starting to swing on that too. I mean, you're seeing things kind of swing back the other direction on a lot of those issues.
For sure. I think it starts too with parents at home. Like, I think it's as simple as if your son grabs your wife's bra, right? And you're like, don't play with that, boy. You're like, here's my boots. Like, go play around with these, right? Where we live in a society where it's like, oh, you like that? Oh, okay. Like, well, what else do you know what I mean? Like, I personally don't feel like I know anybody in my life that would react that way. But this is off of media and stuff, this is what I'm seeing, that I'm like, how, like, how do we continue even human life like if this is the way that we're going, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we've got to,
because evolution wise, it's just going to go and go and go and go until it takes over, till that is everything. And then,
So I think evolution believes that at some point we'll just cease to exist altogether.
Yeah.
That we will be made obsolete as people.
Right.
It's a very nihilistic worldview. And I've referenced this book probably every podcast, but Abigail Schreier has a book called Bad Therapy.
Okay.
If you haven't read it, it's really, I think, something that would be good for everybody to read. But
nice.
Talks about the rise of therapy and how that's had a negative impact on people. And so popular therapy has been to put all the focus on yourself.
Yeah.
But like one thing that we know now, and I think we've known all along, and you see this actually in the Bible talked about pretty frequently, but whenever the focus becomes about you, it makes you more sad. Right?
Yeah.
And whenever you put your focus on other people,
it
makes you more happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, there's kind of this this old story. I don't even know if it's true or not, but this old story about a guy, he's hiking in the wilderness and this big snowstorm comes and it's like, can't see anything, gets lost. He's fumbling around trying to find something and goes to, just gets to the point where he gives up hope. He's like, I'm freezing to death. I have no idea where I'm at. It's just a total whiteout. And he decides, he sees this tree and he goes, I'm just going to sit down there and die. I've lost the hope that I can live.
Yeah.
And sits down at this tree and he's sitting there and realizes that right next to him is somebody else who's like covered in the snow. And this person's been there longer, obviously.
Wow.
And all of a sudden his mind shift changes from I've given up hope that I will be able to save myself.
Wow.
Or find any way out of this.
Yeah.
To I got to save this guy. And so
oh wow, yeah.
Picks this person up. It's like, we're going to, realizes that he's still got a pulse. We're going to find, I got to save this guy. And they journey on and, 5-10 minutes later, they stumble on this cabin and there's,
crazy
stuff there. And so they survive. That might just be a story. I don't know if that's actually true, but I've heard that. And it's such a good picture of how our life is. If we're just looking at ourselves, it's a pretty, anybody who's focused on themselves, it's fairly I disappoint myself all the time, and so, everybody has standards, whatever they are, and you never live up to them,
right?
No matter what they are. Like, probably even serial killers are like, man, I wish I would have killed more people. I just have never, but like everybody's got a standard
for sure.
And they don't live up to it. And it's just disappointing. if you make your life about service, which I mean, then there's never a vacant spot there. Like, people always need help.
Yeah.
Or people can always use what you have to offer, and it makes you feel good about yourself. You're focused on these kind of positive things.
Yeah.
It's the same concept behind, negative goals don't work. You have to have positive goals. Like, you can't have a goal of like, I don't want to be broke anymore. You have to say, I want to have
like $1,000.
I want to make $100,000 a year, or like, it has to be a specific positive goal, because what you focus on, anything you focus on grows.
Yeah.
So if you focus on, I don't want to be broke, the main thing is being broke, and you will just grow your brokenness.
It's a mindset. Yeah.
But if you go, I want to make X amount of dollars a year, or I want to have this much, or I want to, I know a lot of people that their financial goals involve giving.
Yeah.
I mean, even people that aren't spiritual or religious, any financial advisor that you go to that's worth their salt will tell you, if you want to be financially successful, giving has to be part of your financial plan.
Sure, I agree.
And so there's like these things that it spurs you on to greater success, while having none of it be really about your own personal gain.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think
that was part of even what I loved at JJ's. Like, we were able to do that there, and for whatever season, like, I do see a lot of reason of why the Lord had us there for that season now, but like, even the fruit that like came out of it, like me even meeting my husband, and even while we were in that restaurant, we were approached. If I met a young kid at a different restaurant that I had gone to eat to before JJ's opened, and he was such a good server that I was like, hey, when I have a restaurant one day, I'm going to hire you. And he thought it was hilarious. He's like 18 years old. He's like, what are you talking about? And I didn't have a restaurant yet. It wasn't even in the talk. Like, we were still cooking out of my house. And when we found out we were getting the location, I went to that restaurant and I found him, and I'm like, you're going to come work for me, And he was skeptical at first, but I'm like, I knew I had seen him at church before, at a church that I had just gone to passing through. And I was like, you got to have some relationship with the Lord, right? Like, I know you love the Lord. And he's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, you're going to love it. Like, we're going to take care of you. Like, you got to come, Hired him, and he connected me with the founder of the ministry team that I'm involved with now. And if I wouldn't have gone through that season, hired this young kid, got introduced to his friend that's starting this ministry team, I wouldn't even be in the position that the Lord has allowed me to be in now. Like, and JJ's caused many conversations to happen between families. I have people who were like, we discussed this with our pastor and he doesn't agree with you, so we left that church. I have people that are like, we discussed this with our pastor and he agrees with you, so we left. You know what I mean? Like, on both sides. Like, it caused so much conversation locally and like close to home, which is what we don't get to experience a lot of with a cell phone in our hand 24/7. We see all these things happening in further areas. And this was like so close to home on a subject that is very sensitive to a lot of people, that does get a lot of media attention, that it hit home for a lot of people in the area. And so but I do look at this from a lens of like, Lord, like, you are so good, and whatever plan you have for me, I know is good, as long as I keep you first. So when I am able to do that, and even now looking at all the fruit that has come from JJ's, not just in my life, but old employees' lives, and this ministry team that is just growing like crazy, and it's all geared towards young adults. I mean, we welcome people of all ages, but it's like, I definitely don't know how I would have found this team that even needed a women's ministry leader role that I've been able to help with and be a part of. Like, so there is a lot. It's easy even when I tell this story, it seems so negative. Sometimes like even the things that we went through, it is hard, but thank God that I had a relationship with him and that I know him. Because like I said in the beginning, like social media hate like that, I can see how it would take somebody down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the fruit and the good that has come from it is so worth every bad thing that we went through during that season,
Yeah. No, I look at my own life, and I've said this a lot, like the most difficult things I've ever been through, if I would never pick any of them because they sucked more than I can tell you.
Right.
But I can't imagine who I would be without it.
Yeah.
And I also would not want to give up that progress.
Yeah.
So it's like, I say this all the time, like, most of the time bad things, not a bad thing. Like a lot of times a bad thing ends up being a good thing. And yeah, so if you could say something to this couple that you felt would help clarify and kind of crystallize like your thoughts and your feelings about this whole deal, like add some context, like what is the conversation or the thing that you wish you could say to them, if anything, that you feel like you didn't get the chance to express?
That's a good question. It would more so be along the lines of like Jesus loves you, and I know that it's like hard to understand that I'm like sticking by my faith, but like the same respect that I have for others, that they can exercise their freedom of all their rights, like I would like the same, instead of like immediately a long post that just ultimately took us down. I've thought about this before. Like I've thought about offering to meet up and stuff. We have had a few messages back and forth a little bit when things would get really heated, and I would post something on social media, and they would message me and be like, just so that you know, we've never condoned any death threats. Like we've never told anybody to do this, this or that. And I believe them. Like I totally believe that. I don't think that they intended for any ill will. But I think it was like a little ember that was able to like catch flame.
Yeah. So you think a lot of this really had to do with people who weren't involved in the conversation, like
100%.
Like both sides would never have wanted it to get this out of control.
Oh, I mean, I don't know about both. Oh, both sides, as in me and the couple. Yeah, I don't think that they intended for it. I mean, we lost a lot. Like my husband was kicked off of a nonprofit board he was on because they told him that they didn't want Jesus involved in anything that they did, which forced him to resign from the job that he had had for 3 years because it was the same owners that ran the nonprofit. That puts a huge financial strain on a single father at the time, so I don't think anybody intended for it to go down the trail that it did. I mean, it did not have to go that way. I trust the Lord. It's for a reason. I know it's for a reason. I told my mom when there was a protest going on outside the restaurant, I was talking to this girl and I was telling her about Jesus. She's one of the protesters. At first, when I went out there, they didn't even know I was the owner. They like smiled for a photo and everything. And I'm talking to her about Jesus, and I go back inside and I tell my mom, I'm like, if all of this was for that one, it was worth it. Like, because that's what Jesus does. He goes after the one that leaves the 99. If this happened for literally just one soul that he is after, man, all I did was ask him to use me. All I did was ask him to make me his vessel. I was obedient the whole time. So I know that this was nothing of my doing. Like, sure, my words could have been different, but I can see from this side that he does everything with a plan and a purpose. I might not know we all might not know all of it until we face him. Unfortunately, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
You know, but fortunately for the Christ follower, you have rest in that and you trust this process. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to stress before we finish, because I know we've been on here for a while, is like this type of relationship with the Lord is like for everybody. He doesn't just pick and choose. Like I said to you before, like I'm not special. Like this is simply like, I love Jesus. I was faithful. I told him to use me. And this is what he does. So you have to be careful. When you ask him to use you, you never know what he's going to do, you know? But it's launched me into a leg of ministry that I have known that I would want to be a part of my whole life. And this Jesus Junction ministry that we have is so fruitful. It is so Holy Spirit led. Like he's all over it. And now I'm able to do it fully what he wants me to do. And I wouldn't have got here unless I would have gone through all of that. I know that. So, and I'll probably look back in a year and be like, dang, I never would have gotten here if I wouldn't have gone through all, you know what I'm saying? So it's available to everybody. Like the gift of salvation is completely free. Like, so that means more to me now as an adult than it did as a kid, because now I pay for things. So now I'm like, you're telling me the most important thing in my life I can have for free, you know? So.
Yeah. Well, and that is the thing about a gift, is that it has to be received to be used.
Yeah, and it can't be earned. You can't earn a gift.
Right.
Yeah.
So story's not over, obviously. Like you have other things. This is a transition. So what are you guys?
So we closed in July. Not only were we dealing with severe boycotting, but also the price of everything. I mean, you see, after we posted that we needed help from the community, the following week we saw another local restaurant post it, and then even just recently, last month or 2 months ago, another restaurant posted that they need help. So the cost of goods and running a restaurant is not for the faint at heart, and it's not for the broke. Okay.
There's not a high success rate for restaurants. It is rough. I know other people that own restaurants downtown. I know it's a tough gig. It's a tough racket.
It is. And so you can't
go eat at Taco Bell for like less than $30 for a person.
No, you can't.
It's like,
you can't.
Dude, that's
crazy.
Taco Bell.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So we were approached early July by the previous tenant that was in the building, and she said that she had seen our post and that she felt horrible that we were in this position, that she never wanted that for us when she first came to us with this idea to exchange spots anyways, and that her health was doing better, and that she would willingly love to come back in, go like this with the money that we owed her. What was paid is paid, and we can go. I mean, that's not to say like we did lose money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not something that we're worried about. So we washed our hands, and we left at the end of July, and now we took a season of rest. Like, thank God we needed it. Like, Devin and I had been busting our butts. Like, our husbands were ready, like, for be home, like, just make me a homemade dinner instead of like bringing me restaurant food, like, you know, like a clean house all the time. You're kidding me, like, you know. So we took that season. I took that season. Devin she's a great stay-at-home mom. So proud of her and how she raised her kids. But yeah, I took that season for a little bit and got to like just be in marriage, and I got a beautiful 10-year-old daughter with my husband. Like, her and my 6-year-old are like my little best friends. So that's like where my time goes. And I get to build ministry with Jesus Junction, and we do small catering events on the side, and it's joyful. Like, I know this is not the end. Like, we're coming out of the season of rest into like an abundance season. Like, we're already as a couple like starting to see it and like seeing the Lord's hand like just all over our lives. But yeah, I never stop. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. So if people so you're advertising for your catering stuff, or I mean, if people want to find you, is there a good way to find you? And
you can follow our Instagram.
They miss the food and
I know
all that stuff.
Yeah.
What's the best way to?
You can contact our Instagram. It's at JJsToGos. There's a S at the end. And just DM us. Facebook too. We are not taking like huge big events right now. We're not picking and choosing, but we're doing what fits with our life. We don't have the desire to stress out about all of this anymore. Like, it's more of like, this is the little bit of income that the Lord allows us to bring into our families. And we do have to rent like commissary time when we cook now. So whenever we do a catering event, we have to pay a fee. So, you know, that's something that comes along with like this new side of it. But who knows how long that will last? Who knows what the Lord has next for it? But yeah, just on our Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I hope, I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to get out there, or?
No, that's it.
No, we pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. I think these are good conversations to have.
For sure.
I think the more we can have context in some of these things, because this ended up being, I mean, how far was the reach on the news cycle on this thing?
Oh my gosh! I mean, well, we
got to be kind of a.
I invited the day that we went back, and there was a protest in front of the restaurant. King 5 News came down, and I invited them in to interview me.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want there to be a bunch of news crews out here, you know?
Right.
It was a 12-minute interview. They cut like 30 seconds to
slightly shorter than what we're doing now.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And so social media was the main media outlet on it. But I think I'm grateful to be able to discuss the whole thing. I don't know who's going to watch the whole entire thing, but
I don't either.
You know, at least like it's there for whoever's like, well, what does she think? What does she really think about this? Like, does she hate everybody? I'm like, no, dude. Like, if you could just understand my heart just a little bit, you know, like, I think this does help. So
yeah, no, I think it's important. I mean, on every side of it, I think for people to be able to clearly articulate all the nuance involved, you know, whether you agree with them, don't disagree with them. I mean, I go to things all the time where I disagree with people and they disagree with me. And, you know, the more we talk about stuff, the more we find that we're a lot closer on these things than we think.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
And I think, you know, some of these issues are things that have become, taboo. Nobody's allowed to talk about it. No, you know, and not nobody. I don't want to say that, but
well, you're afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, it's still it's real sensitive, and a lot of people don't want to hear more.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think it's awesome. I appreciate you coming in and telling us your story. And if you miss the food, go find them.
Yeah.
And then the Jesus Junction. What's the deal with that?
Oh, it's so cool.
Find that.
So we gather every other Saturday at the Centralia Christian School at 7 p.m. So not this Saturday, but it'll be the following Saturday. And we get together for a time of what we call praise, prayer, and proclamation. And we're not claiming to be pastors. We're simply a group of young adults who want like-minded community and want to just grow in the Lord. And we have people, I mean, we're experiencing growth and deliverance on young people's lives that I've never seen in any church that I've attended. I don't speak for the other leaders, so I'm talking for myself, you know. But it's amazing what the Lord's doing. We have belong groups that go along with it. So every week, young women gather. But I mean, we have somebody that attends that's in their 50s. So how it doesn't matter your age. We geared this at the beginning towards young adults because it came out of a campus Bible study at Centralia College, but it's just grown crazy now. So we have a Bible study for women's and men's. We call them belong groups because there's always food. We always hang out and chit chat. we have a little bit of a message that goes with it, but it creates that friendship of people who are wanting more from the Lord and wanting to be around like-minded people, so yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in.
Sweet.
I guess
Thank
that
you.
does it for us.
Yeah.
And yeah, see you next
Sweet.
time. Peace.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.